What's up guys, JayzTwoCents here and welcome to 2018. And I told you we were gonna finish this build and we're getting closer, and trust me, I get tired of showing it off as much as you guys get tired of looking at it, I think. But we have a care package. Remember I said I ordered some stuff from performance-pcs.com, go and check them out. But here's the care package they sent me, and this is what we needed to get this done. The new DG7 series cases from EVGA offer PC enthusiasts more of what they love, like tempered glass side panels, vertical GPU mount, integrated RGB control board, DG tuner, and an awesome 3-year warranty. To learn more about the DG7 series of cases from EVGA, head to the link in the description below. Blah, 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 blah. So I got this right here, which is really important. This is the Aqua Computer. It's a filter. And it's not meant to be left in the system full time. It's designed for cleaning systems. Now you could leave it in there full time if you wanted. I'm not gonna be doing that. But we're gonna be running the Mayhem's Blitz cleaning kit. It's a 2-part kit. And it's designed to get anything that might be stuck to the radiators out of there, flush or flux and any of that solder material. And even though radiator manufacturers will try and convince you that they're clean and ready to go out of the box, you don't believe them. Just clean your systems out. But instead of just letting like the Blitz just circulate that crap all throughout the loop and redeposit it somewhere else, we're gonna let it deposit right here inside of this filter. Now it's pretty neat, it's a mesh filter. It's gonna capture big stuff, little stuff, and this is gonna allow us to make sure that we get a nice, clean system, because we don't wanna have any sort of color reaction, we don't wanna have any sort of fallout. I haven't decided what coolant I'm gonna go with yet, but either way, I need to clean the radiator. So when I'm done getting this loop all set up and all the tubing cut, then we are going to take the radiators out. We're gonna set up the Blitz cleaning set like in the kitchen, and we're gonna let this run for like 24 hours, capturing all the junk that it possibly can. Believe it, that's quality right there. So something else that I got here was a crap ton of fittings, which is usually one of the most expensive like parts that add up to a system is the custom fittings. But these right here are actually the Bits Power multi-link fittings. They're 12mm outer diameter fittings because I'm gonna be doing, in this system, glass. These are 12mm glass tubes right here. They're borosilicate or whatever. I'm sure I completely butchered that. But anyway, it's that kind of glass, like science glass, that's what it is. But we are gonna be doing 12mm glass tubing. I haven't done glass tubing in a while. I've only done it once actually, and it was in that Fractal Design Define Nano S build that I did. Still together, by the way, I never took that system apart. So I decided a system this high-end and this custom and this elegant needs glass tubing. So that's what we're gonna do. And then of course with that, we got a new glass tubing kit, or cutting kit. So we got gloves to protect our hands. We've got eye protection to protect our eyes. And then we've got some sandpaper to smooth it out. And then we've got some bubble wrap. But then we've got a new set of cutters right here. I've got a pretty cheap glass cutter that's like a little squeeze thing. It's like that's terrible. Anyway, it was like 10 bucks. This is designed to score the glass because the way, and we'll show you in this video, the way that you cut the glass down to size is you have to score it, you wet it, and then you snap it, and it breaks where you score it. If you do it right, it's a clean break. Sometimes it's jagged, which is why we have the sandpaper and stuff. But enough talking, let's just go ahead and play around with it.
All right, so the loop is done. I'm really happy I went with the custom glass because glass is so clear. Part of the problem I have with PETG especially is it always looks slightly dull. I've used this analogy before, not even an analogy, you guys can do it at home. Look at your thumbnail. You'll see, if you hold it in the light just right, you can see there's these grooves and lines in your thumb, and that's exactly what PETG looks like. And just always has a slightly cloudy look. The glass is super clear. So acrylic's kind of in between the glass and the PETG in terms of clearness. PETG is a lot easier to work with, obviously, than glass, but that's kind of the challenge here. We've got this super elegant, high scale case that deserved this super high end loop. We got Singularity PC parts in here, or Singularity computers, I keep calling it PCs. Singularity computers parts. We've got all the Bits Power fittings, which are handling all of our bends for the glass. You can get 90-degree bent glass tube. You can get it from performance-pcs.com, which is pretty much where everything you see here is available when it comes to water cooling. But I like the way the fittings look, especially since I wanted to fill it out and make it look kind of busy. I think it did really well. But the glass is pretty easy. I mean, if you have the right tools anyway, it's just like any job. You can only do as good as the tools that you have. And whether that tool be your knowledge or a specific tool needed for something like, you know, cutting and breaking glass, then I'm happy I got the new cutter, because the cutter I got off Amazon the first time I tried it, I really cheaped out because I wasn't sure if it was something I was gonna do a lot of, so I did not get a good glass scorer, and so it was hard to work with. This time I used something a lot better for scoring the glass, and it was pretty easy. I mean, you score it, it didn't try and walk, it gave me a perfect circle, and then once you wet it, you just give it a little bit of a pressure, like twisting, but you pull apart as you're doing it. And as you do, it just snaps apart. By creating a score or a scratch in the glass, you're giving the glass sort of a track to break apart on. And that's all you're doing with that. But like the extra trick is getting it wet. And so that's why I was putting it in water or pouring water on it to get water in the crack. And then let's say this is where it's, you know, I'm gonna score and break it right there. And you don't twist like this. You give a little bit of pressure as you're pulling apart. And if you do that the right way, then you get a pretty clean cut. This is actually one of my breaks right there. I haven't deburred it yet. It's never gonna be perfectly flat unless you're cutting it with like a proper machine that cuts glass, which obviously I don't have, but this is more than good enough to get the job done. But obviously the glass is delicate. I mean, it's pretty robust in handling it. It's not gonna break that easy. If I dropped it on the concrete right now, clearly it would, but it's a lot like tempered glass. It's pretty robust until it's not, and then when it's not, it shatters. But it's really not that hard. I mean, what I do to make sure I don't waste any glass, because it's not cheap, it's not super cheap, is I use 10 by 12 millimeter PETG tubing, cut that all to length, then I mark the glass and cut the glass. Plus it gives us a really good template to keep retrying if we have a bad break, or we, you know, rather than cutting the glass and be like, oops, and tossing it, we have extra PETG, which is a lot cheaper. I didn't want to actually do a bunch of fittings on the top. I played around with that. I put a picture up on Twitter. You should be following on social media. You would have seen all the behind the scenes of putting this together. It looked too crowded and too busy. There was just too much happening there. I didn't like the way it looked. So instead I decided to bring it out in front of the reservoir. It's offset from this piece back here, and it's higher than the piece in the back right here. So they kind of frame each other out, which gives us just a really neat full look. Now in terms of fluid, I haven't decided what I'm gonna do yet. I've got 3 batches of fluid that are mixed up right now that Nick will tell you, I'm constantly holding it up and looking at it and I can't make up my mind. One is a UV green Mayhem's Pastel, the same green I'm using in Skunkworks. That's held up for 2 years with no color change or issue. I've also looked at the UV green from Primo Chill, that's the View. The same stuff we tested out in Nick's computer for a while until we tore it apart to see what happened with the blocks. And of course it was like slightly abrasive, so it was cleaning our blocks, which isn't too bad. And then I also have some Mayhem's XT1, which is a clear that I custom mixed green in to make it look like an automotive coolant. Now I know a lot of you are like, you should have just got coolant, but I wanted to use stuff specific to water cooling for computers. And I think that one's out, if you want to know the truth, because it's such a different shade of green than the rest of the green that's in the system that it just looks too different. So I think that one's gone. So for me, it's between the Mayhem's Pastel and the Primo Chill View. And you guys won't even know what I go with until either I show it on social media or you guys see the final video. Because the next video you guys see of this, it will be done. The only thing left to do now is the wiring. And then of course I've got a custom backplate being made by my friend Joe, and he's milling that for me, and that's gonna be covering up the wires on the back. And then we put the glass panels on. It's gonna look super clean because we have no SATA drives. We have no SATA cables and no SATA power to worry about for those. We do have SATA power for the control boxes for the These are the maglev 120 RGB fans. We've got 6 of those, lots of cables to have to manage with those. It's terrible. I wish Corsair had come up with a better way to connect power and RGB with those fans. Daisy chain them, something. Every other manufacturer's daisy chaining them, but they're not. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, I digress. I'm using a proprietary in-win power supply. The power supply that comes with this case is meant for this case. It's the same one that actually was in the Terry Crews. It doesn't have the same mounting holes as a standard power supply. Now, of course, we could have made an adapter and used any power supply we want. We've got a high-rated power supply that comes with it. It's 1065 watts, more than enough for this system. But CableMod also supports custom cables for in-win power supplies. So I'm actually using their cable configurator, which is allowing me to put custom links in there, play around with the colors to see what I like, see what it looks like in different materials. I considered going with a paracord, which they have available, but I think I'm gonna end up going with mod mesh instead, which is gonna have a brighter, more vibrant color, which is what we kind of want for this. But the cool part is when you use the configurator, you tell them what power supply you have, you tell them what cables you want. So obviously in this case, we'll be using a 24 pin, an 8-pin EPS, a plus 4-pin EPS for the CPU, 2 8-pin PCI Express, 2 6-pin PCI Express, and we need a SATA for our fans for the RGB control box. We might get a couple extra cables just in case. But the best part is you can play around with it, see what it looks like, change each individual wire color to figure out exactly how you want it. Then you tell them the links, you tell them the material. You can even go with thicker wires if you want, which we'll probably be doing for this. And then they make them, they send them to you. And they're really not all that expensive. In the grand scheme of things, if you think about what a system like this costs, and the fact that we have over $500 in fittings alone for this glass tubing, then what you pay for the custom cables is really not that bad if you take a look at it. But obviously it's a luxury for a luxury system, so I wouldn't have it any other way. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. Like I said, you're not gonna see this again in another video until it is done, which should be right after CES. Once those cables arrive, we'll get to it and we'll get it done. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.